Oh, hi everybody. Welcome to Pearls Politics. I was checking Facebook, see if we were live. Sometimes they have that 30-second delay, sometimes they don't. But I know we are live on our YouTube channel. So if you don't, I will let you don't know what I'm saying if you don't see us on Facebook yet. So I'm going to refresh my screen because I usually show up on my profile if I'm live. If I'm there. It hasn't showed up yet. Let me go out here and see. hmm We have to go to our show page, to our event page, and share it. It's not showing up there. I kind of like for it to make sure that it's showing because our people like to watch it, and I don't want them left out. You know how that goes. It's not saying live yet. Now I'm pretty sure that I shared it on the page and everything on the right page, but I don't know why we're not showing live on Facebook tonight. Well,
Mm.
hey, I see our YouTube viewers coming in, so I'll just have to share. I'll just have to share it after the show if it doesn't finally pick up. Okay. All right, so guys, now it says that we are live. I mean, it should be showing up because it said that this is our Facebook channel, Pearls Politics, and it's picked up the chat. It says hello and welcome to Pearls Politics. So if it's picking up the chat, it should be showing live on Facebook somewhere. I don't know where it's showing, but it's not on my profile page. So, anyhow, okay, so what I want to do is first start out with our local politics. Y'all know we in the Memphis down here in Tennessee, and we have, hmm, so it's not saying that we live. I don't know why. And so I'm just gonna give y'all a little close rundown. It says happening now, but when I click on it, it want me to start the live video from there, and I don't need to because we're already live. So I don't know what's wrong with Facebook. Just shake my phone. Sometimes they'll say if it's not right, shake your phone. Have you ever done that?
No, I had never done it.
That's what Facebook say. They say if something go wrong with it, uh, to shake your phone and it might fix it. Anywho, local right here in our town, the state. There's been, back and forth about the state of Tennessee taking over our Memphis City school system here. So they did legislation. It was supposed to go to the Senate. They passed it in the House. Supposed to go to the Senate. So it looks like they are determined to take over the Memphis City school system. And of course, it's Memphis City school system is currently under audit, and they have found several millions of dollars that have been misplaced, unaccounted for, and everything else. So it might sound like, Tim, that they might need to take over. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, they definitely do on
Mm-hmm.
both sides, the school side,
Mm-hmm.
um, as well as those elected officials that don't know where those millions went.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because, see, the schools in all the cities and states all over the United States, they get federal funds, they get um, private donations, and they get taxpayer dollars. So, and they get state dollars. So, yeah, it needs to be accounted for. If somebody in there needed more than their salary, they should have went out and got another job rather than like the rest of us have to work 3 jobs rather than steal funds, right?
Yeah, you know those auditors was on the news and they were saying out of their 30 plus years, that was the worst they had ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that in itself says a lot.
And they also added that this is not something that's recent, that has been going on for about 20 years. So,
Hmm.
they're going way back.
Yeah.
So, hey, those of you who stole the money, y'all better get out of Dodge. At least let them hunt for you. Because they coming for you as soon as they find your John Hancock on something. Yeah, you will be looked for. So
Yeah.
only you know you stole it. So and whoever else you told. So get out of that. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I think they should go ahead and take over. And get those and get the kids the money for the kids.
Yeah.
So, and get the kids the proper education that they need because the um uh the reading capability of the children here in our city is very, very low. Literacy rate, very low, very low. And it should not be.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along here in our center, in our city. State's also coming down on Shelby County for to investigate the DA's office, Steve Mulroy, and him for his light sentencing that he's been giving to criminals and the way that he has been allowing bails to criminals that should not have had bails. And they're saying that he's too soft on crime. So what do you think, Tim?
Mhm. Yeah, I actually believe that too. But however, we have to look a little deeper and understand uh, how crime works. If it's no crime, there's no police officers, there's no lawyers, there's no judges. So this is kind of a way to keep the money flowing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, kind of a two-way street, honey. Catch
yeah,
22, because one of the biggest profit-making business for people in power is crime.
yeah.
And,
Because now, yeah, because now your prisons, basically all of them are private. They're private owners.
mm-hmm,
You know, yeah. So they get paid for each body that they have in there,
yeah,
and I think the percentage that they try to keep it is like 80% of the jails full. So
yeah.
yeah,
So it's a money-making business,
yeah,
and you're kind of right. No crime, no money for them.
yeah,
The ones that profit from it,
hmm,
concession.
yeah.
And what's that other thing that they have to? You put the money on their books. What is that about? What is that?
Commissary.
Commissary, and yeah, because they're not giving them the health care that they
No,
need,
no,
and the jail is riding, commonly falling down, so they not
yeah,
keeping the jail up.
yeah.
So they just a whole lot of people just putting money in their pockets.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, definitely. And then we got some lawsuits that's gonna be coming down the line. I think two of the deputy jailers or three of them right now uh, that are being, well, they're up to the forefront now because they were accused of uh, taking someone's life in the jail.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that. Yeah, they beat him.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw that, and they deserve it
yeah,
because I mean that's what you got pepper spray for, right? Don't they have? I know they
yeah,
don't have guns, but don't they have pepper spray?
yeah. And it's basically a respect thing from both parties. Um, just because somebody's in jail, you're not a judge nor a jury.
That's right. That's right.
So you have no right to treat anyone as though you are because you're not.
That's right. What if it was their kin? They would want their kin treated like that.
Yeah.
Their family.
Yeah.
So
That's the way I always looked at it as a deputy jailer when I was down there. Because they're still,
that's right. You worked as a deputy jailer,
yeah, yeah. So
hmm and
they're
they
still,
respected you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know they did because I can remember some years after you quit, I was somewhere. No, you didn't quit; you got laid off. But a whole bunch of y'all got laid off. About
yeah.
100 of y'all at the same time.
500.
500 it was really.
Yeah,
That's pitiful. See, and that's what they need. They need about 500 jailers down there now.
yeah.
So I can see why the state want to investigate and audit them too as well.
Mm,
But yeah, I can remember when I was out with you one time. We was the grocery store, I believe, and there was an inmate that saw you and called you Mr. Harrington because
yeah,
he remember he had to tell you who he
yeah,
was because
yeah.
you really didn't remember the face.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, he treated you respect. He was happy to see you. I saw that and witnessed that with my own eyes.
Right.
So that indicated to me, and definitely validates what you're saying, that you treat them with respect
Yes.
and they respected you in return.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's hop on now. Y'all know we don't take breaks on the politics show because we always have a lot to tell you. All right, so the president uh, at the White House is talking about the Iran war is going to be over soon. He set up a blockade. He claims that no ships are passing through. Um, and he also claims that Iran really, really want a deal bad. All right, so those three things he's been saying for the past 3 weeks. And the reason why we know that he's saying these things, which are not true, is for three reasons. Number one, he's been manipulating that stock market real good to keep that oil uh, from going to over $110 a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for crude. So that's the manipulation of the oil and stock market. That's number one. Number two, propaganda. He wants everybody that don't follow politics and read the news and are totally interested in what's going on with the war, all of those kind of people, he wants them to believe that everything's all right. Don't want to start a panic among
Yeah.
the people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then number three, the third reason why is because he know that he has lost and he doesn't have a way out. So he just keeps saying over and over again. And he's one of the kind of people that believes that if you keep repeating it enough and keep telling the story enough, that enough people will finally believe it, and then it will be true.
Yeah. I saw a news report in the White House newsroom. I had never seen a reporter stand up this way. He asked the president himself,
Mm-hmm.
"Aren't you sick of telling the lies that you've been
Oh
telling?"
Lord, no, he didn't, did he? What he
Yes,
tell
he
him? What,
did.
what he tell him? Who you with? That's anytime somebody
So,
asks him a
now,
question
yeah,
that that really gonna call him out. Yeah, well, that choked me when you said that. He won't answer it. The first thing he'll say, "Who you with?"
that ain't what he said. He said, "What's that?" He said,
Really?
"What's that?" Like he didn't hear it the first time.
Pretend
So
like he
then when
could hear
he
it.
heard the question, he
Uh-huh.
gonna pick another reporter to go to.
See, that's
But
what I'm saying.
that's the first time I ever seen a reporter. I guess he was just a his whiskey and coming in there every day and they just lying. And he said what the American people wanted to say.
Yeah, who the reporter? That's right.
Yeah, the reporter said
The
what we all been wanting to say.
Yahoo for the reporter. They had enough balls. All
Yeah, he
right.
might not be there no more, but we
Yeah.
remember
Well,
him.
yeah, that'll be that last line, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what we do is on our show, the only mom and son political commentaries on the net worldwide, is we show y'all what's really going on. Because I dig and I dig and I watch and I watch and I listen and I listen. So now I'm gonna tell you one of the main reasons why he's saying now, because we know the peace talk didn't work out. That
Yeah.
Iran sent them away with their tails tucked up under. And so now he's trying to say that it's going to be in it soon again. The reason
Hmm.
why he's saying, I'm going to tell you the reason, and I'm going to show y'all the real reason why he's saying that it might be coming to end soon. Is none of the reasons that he's giving, but the real reason is somebody told him, well I'm just going to say, somebody had a little talk with him, okay? And I'm going to say this. Somebody had a little talk with Netanyahu of Israel because everybody know that Trump is taking orders from Netanyahu of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody had a little talk with Israel. And so now the brakes are on. But guess who? Can you take a guess who they had a little talk with? It's the same one that I've been saying out of all the heads of states in the whole wide world, that this man right here is the most intelligent, the most
Putin.
balanced,
Putin.
the most balanced, and the most patient. All right, y'all, check this out. Here we go.
Mujtaba's military aide reveals a bold plan to shatter Trump's Hormuz blockade using precision missile strikes on U.S. naval assets. Mujtaba's aide shocks America by demanding U.S. ground invasion, threatening to capture thousands of hostages in retaliation. U.S. military reportedly lies to Trump, claiming blockade remains unbroken while agencies confirm ships crossing freely. U.S. boasts forcing 10 ships to turn back, but independent reports confirm 7 Iranian vessels successfully crossed the Hormuz Strait. Amid the failed blockade, thousands of U.S. troops face imminent danger as Iranian missiles threaten to sink American warships. Iran officially signals readiness to blockade the Red Sea, positioning Trump's strategy to ignite a dangerous new global energy crisis. Iran has issued fresh military threats against the United States as President Trump's naval blockade on Iranian ports entered its 3rd day around the Strait of Hormuz. On April 15th, an advisor to Iran's Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei warned the U.S. against attempts to police the Strait of Hormuz and asserted Tehran's control over the waterway. Former IRGC chief Mohsen Rezai delivered that warning in a televised address, which was reported by the Times of Israel as part of a broader regional update. Mohsen Rezai, a senior military advisor to Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei, is a long-standing figure in Iran's security establishment and speaks with direct access to top leadership. In a provocative remark during the same address, Rezai also invited the prospect of a U.S. ground invasion, suggesting that such a move would ultimately benefit Tehran's strategic position. Mohsen Rezai said, and I quote, "Mr. Trump wants to become the police of the Strait of Hormuz. Is this really your job? Is this the job of a powerful army like the United States? These ships of yours will be sunk by our first missiles and have created a great danger for the U.S. military. They can definitely be exposed to our missiles, and we can destroy them. It would be great if the US launched a ground invasion of Iran, as we would take thousands of hostages, and then for each hostage we would get $1 billion. I am not in favor of extending the ceasefire at all, and this is a personal view." These threats come as the United States presses ahead with its naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, aiming to choke off maritime trade to and from Iranian ports. The U.S. Military Central Command stated that 0 ships had successfully broken through the blockade since it took effect on April 13th, claiming tight enforcement. CENTCOM also said that at least 10 ships had been intercepted or redirected within the first 48 hours of the blockade, underscoring an active enforcement posture. However, maritime tracking data has appeared to contradict the U.S. military's claims, according to a report in the Times of Israel. April 14th tracking data showed that at least 3 ships sailing from Iranian ports had already crossed the Strait of Hormuz despite the blockade, the report noted. Those 3 vessels were part of a group of 7 ships that have been recorded crossing the Strait of Hormuz since the blockade began, suggesting some level of leakage. Some vessels that initially took that route later turned back, as reported by the Times of Israel, indicating both uncertainty and attempts to avoid confrontation. Despite Trump's Hormuz blockade, more vessels entered Iranian waters on April 15th, according to regional media. The development was reported by Iran's semi-official Fars news agency, which cited commercial ship tracking data to support the claim. One carrier transporting food supplies entered the Gulf and was reported to be en route to Iran's Imam Khomeini port. A supertanker listed under U.S. sanctions also entered Iranian waters on the morning of April 15th, defying American measures. The supertanker, which has a 2 million barrel carrying capacity, reportedly reached its destination without any interference. The bulk carrier Christiana, having just unloaded its cargo at the Iranian port of Bandar Imam Khomeini, then exited the Persian Gulf by crossing the Strait of Hormuz shortly after the blockade went into force. Another tanker, Elpis, departed from the Iranian port of Bushehr carrying a methanol shipment and also managed to clear the strait despite the surrounding military restrictions. A third vessel, the Chinese-linked tanker Rich Stari, reportedly passed through the waterway overnight, using an Iranian-preferred route and signaling that some traffic is still finding ways to transit. Analysts have warned that vessel tracking signals and AIS data in the region appear to be increasingly disrupted or deliberately manipulated, making it harder to verify every movement. Meanwhile, the US military says that destroyer-class vessels are actively monitoring and, where necessary, targeting ships operating around Iranian ports and nearby lanes. A US destroyer reportedly intercepted 2 oil tankers that had just departed from the Iranian port of Chabahar, ordering them to turn back, according to a Reuters report. According to US officials, several merchant vessels have already been warned over radio or otherwise redirected away from areas covered by the blockade enforcement zone. Since the blockade took effect on April 13th, more than 20 commercial vessels have still been recorded transiting the Strait of Hormuz, according to a Wall Street Journal report on shipping data. The continued passage of ships suggests either partial enforcement of the blockade or that the measure has not fully shut down all maritime traffic in the critical waterway. Meanwhile, Iran has formally rejected the US move to restrict its trade, insisting that the country cannot simply be blockadable through naval pressure alone. Ismail Baghai said, and I quote, "The security of the Strait of Hormuz has been ensured by Iran for decades. Iran has been the guardian of this waterway security. The only reason security and safety in this waterway were disrupted during the past 40 days was the use of Zionist-imposed war. We are glad that many European countries have the wisdom not to fall into the trap laid by the US and the Zionist regime." As tensions rise around the Strait of Hormuz, Iran has issued a warning indicating the possibility of further escalation at sea. Iranian officials have suggested that trade routes in the Red Sea could also be affected if the US naval blockade in Hormuz continues. Senior military leaders in Iran stated that maritime movement involving exports and imports may be restricted under such conditions. In addition to Hormuz, Iran has also referenced other strategic waterways such as the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman in its warnings. These statements were reportedly conveyed by the commander of Iran's Khatam al-Anbiya headquarters. Ali Abdullahi stated that Iran's armed forces would act to prevent trade flows if national interests are threatened. Analysts note that any disruption in the Red Sea could involve allied groups in Yemen, including the Houthis, expanding the scope of the conflict. Iran has also indicated that the ongoing blockade could undermine the fragile ceasefire currently in place with the United States. Officials further stated that Iran would take all necessary measures to safeguard its maritime sovereignty. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has also criticized the US blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. He stated that Iran cannot be compelled to alter its position through external pressure, according to Press TV. Pezeshkian also criticized Western responses, describing them as inconsistent in addressing the conflict. He further stated that the ongoing military actions have affected not only leadership structures but also civilian populations. Iran's president said, and I quote, "Iran is not seeking war and instability. Instead, it has always emphasized the importance of dialogue and constructive interaction with all countries of the world. However, any attempt to impose any will on the country or force it to surrender is doomed to fail, and the Iranian nation will never cave in to such an approach. What justified military aggression on our country? What justification exists within international law and humanitarian principles for targeting civilians, elites, children, and destroying vital centers such as schools and hospitals?"
Okay, so I thought that was the one with Putin coming down the plane. I may have it in here, and I may have missed it. If I did, I'll show it next week because we got
Okay.
two more videos to watch. But that one was important, simply because it revealed that there was some ships, Iranian ships, that did go through the blockade. They say they don't know if they were permitted or they were overlooked or they just didn't say them, but they did go through. In objection to what the White House said that no Iranian ships has gone. This ship has gone through, and also about the Houthis in the Red Sea, as we know, when Israel waged this war, genocidal war against Gaza, the Houthis by themselves without the help of Iran, shut down the Red Sea. They hijacked those ships and shot at them, and they sent in a couple of warships from the United States, and they turned around and went away and
Yeah.
stayed away, right?
Yeah.
So if the Houthis were able to do that by themselves with just the little weapons that they already had in stock, we know now that with the help of Russia and China helping Iran with the weaponry issue of it, that they are fully more loaded than they were then a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years ago. So, at any rate, that was important. Now, we still have these one or two of these, we still might see the one where I was talking about what Putin said, but I'm just going to tell y'all what he said in case either one of these videos is not in one of them. What he said, he sent a message to Israel, and he told Israel that they were endangering the lives of civilians and their workers, because what little people know, most people don't know, is that Russia has workers that work in the enrichment facility in Iran. They also have buildings and infrastructures where their workers live, and they're housed in their
Yeah.
schools and their institutions that simply belong to the Russian people that work in Iran.
Yeah.
So people don't understand why Russia is helping Iran. That's the reason, is because they have thousands of people of their own Russian citizens that work and live in Iran. Okay.
Mhm.
Now the other thing is that Russia offered the United States a deal to take over the uranium enrichment for Iran, whereas the United States would not have to even worry about Iran having a nuclear weapon. They did that, and they said they made that offer 2 years ago. So during the peace talks that they had last week, uh, President Putin offered the United States and Israel the same deal. Say, okay, let us take over. We will take over the enrichment facility and control. And that way, you don't have to ever worry about Iran having a nuclear weapon. So Mr. Putin said, and well, Mr. Putin's ambassador and foreign minister said that both Israel and the United States turned down President Putin again. So President Putin got on the phone this past weekend, and he had a little talk and told them that he was playing a dangerous game. And so right after that conversation, everybody's trying to figure out what they're going to do, or if they're going to make another move, because y'all know, and they know, that President Putin does not play.
Yeah.
And when he talk about that you playing a dangerous game, when you gonna talk about bombing Iran, where our infrastructures and our people are,
Yeah.
over there, you've already done enough bombing. That's what he told him. Yeah, that told him that y'all already did enough. But now you're playing a dangerous game. So let's look at these other two videos and see if it shows up.
The Israel Defense Forces has admitted that 5 of its soldiers were injured in a clash with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, the latest sign of intensifying ground combat in the region. The incident took place on April 15th in the Bint Jbeil area, one of the most volatile flashpoints in the ongoing conflict and a known Hezbollah stronghold in the region. According to the IDF's official statement, 1 soldier was seriously wounded, while 4 others sustained light injuries, after Hezbollah launched rocket fire targeting Israeli troops operating inside Lebanese territory. All 5 soldiers were evacuated for medical treatment, and their families have been notified. No fatalities were reported in this specific attack. What makes this incident significant is the location. This was not a cross-border strike into Israel, but a direct hit on Israeli forces engaged in operations deep inside southern Lebanon. Bint Jabal has long held symbolic and strategic importance. Often referred to as the capital of resistance by Hezbollah, the area has witnessed some of the fiercest clashes between the two sides, both in past conflicts and in the current escalation. And this was not an isolated incident. On the same day, reports indicate that at least 10 more Israeli soldiers were wounded in separate fighting in the region, including several in serious condition, following what has been described as a close-quarters ambush by Hezbollah fighters. Hezbollah, for its part, has continued to deploy a mix of rocket barrages, drones, and guerrilla-style tactics, targeting Israeli positions and slowing the advance of ground forces. These attacks reflect a broader pattern emerging in the 2026 conflict. As Israeli troops push further into southern Lebanon, they are increasingly met with coordinated and sustained resistance. The IDF's acknowledgement of casualties highlights the growing risks on the ground, as operations move deeper into contested territory. With near daily exchanges of fire, ambushes, and aerial strikes, southern Lebanon is rapidly becoming one of the most dangerous active battle zones in the region. And as both sides continue to escalate, the situation shows no immediate signs of de-escalation.
All right, that was just to show the side of what's going on in Lebanon as far as the other
Yeah.
side, because the only thing they show is the Israel side of how successful Israel is. But they
Yeah.
don't show that Hezbollah is pretty much just as successful as they really ever draw. So, but yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to show the Putin video next week if it's not in this other one. But yeah, I know what this other one is coming up. It's also showing that it could be in there, but it's also showing the damage that's still going on in Israel, the fires and the bombing that's coming
Yeah.
from Hezbollah into Israel, as far in the northern parts of Israel. So the battle is still going on there, and the problem with that is, and the reason why Mr. Putin also got involved is because during the peace talks, Lebanon is supposed to be included in the ceasefire. United States say no, it wasn't never in the 10-point plan. Israel and then Netanyahu said no, it wasn't never in the 10-point plan. But Pakistan, the mediators, and Iran said yeah, it was in the 10-point plan. Mr. Putin of Russia said yeah, it was in a 10-point plan. So why is it important that Lebanon be included in the 10-point plan? Lebanon is not not a state member of the United Nations. Okay, so therefore, the humanitarian damages that are done to that country, the damage to the infrastructure, the killing of the people, the genocidal acts, cannot be protected by the ICC, the International Court of Justice, because they don't belong to that group.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Palestine is a recognized state of the UN. They were granted it right after the genocidal war was placed upon them. So they are a recognized state, and they were able to get some help and recognition from the International Court of Justice, and that's why there is warrants out arrest warrants for Netanyahu for the genocidal illegal war against Palestine, and all of his cabinet and staff, and his army generals and what have you. So that's why they were able to get some justice, right? And they're still, it's still they still prosecuting. In other words, they still gathering evidence on the behalf of the country of Palestine. However, Lebanon won't have that. They won't have that luxury because they are not a member of the United Nations. So that's the reason why Iran says, Mr. Putin says, China says, and even Kim Jong-un says that it's important that Lebanon be included in the ceasefire. So when I put all of that together in just my head, and it's just me talking now, it's just me talking, y'all. But I think I can analyze politics pretty well on a common sense basis. So when I put all of that together, and the United States and Netanyahu, if Israel keeps saying no, they're not going to include Lebanon, then that means that in about 7 or 8 days, the war is going to get more vicious and start out all over again. Because you can't, in order to come to an agreement, you have to have the will. Iran has the will, but the United States and Netanyahu of Israel don't have the will to come to an agreement. They make it very clear. So if you got one side that doesn't have the will at all to come to an agreement, and the other side does have the will, there's what? There's not going to be an agreement. And you just start backsliding again, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all, y'all, and then we're out of here. But here's what's going on in Israel. And it's bad for both sides. I hate, because people are dying on both sides. But this is what's going on in Israel. Israel is still getting hit hard too, even though no bombs are coming from Iran. They're coming from Hezbollah, from the Lebanese side. Here we go.
The night was torn apart. Without warning, a sudden blast ripped through the southern edge of Haifa Bay. No sirens, no alerts, just impact. And in the silence that followed, a message had already arrived from across the border. According to the Israel Defense Forces, a missile was launched from Lebanon by Hezbollah and landed in an open area near Haifa. Hours later, warning sirens wailed across Kiryat Shmona and surrounding communities as further threats were detected. Earlier in the day, 5 Israeli soldiers were wounded in a Hezbollah rocket strike in southern Lebanon, 1 seriously, 4 lightly. The military confirmed they were evacuated to hospital and their families informed. The IDF also released drone footage showing a strike on Hezbollah operatives. Troops on the ground reportedly identified 2 imminent attack attempts by armed cells before coordinating with the Air Force to eliminate the threat. In subsequent searches, soldiers uncovered a large weapons cache, including Kalashnikov rifles, anti-tank missiles, RPG launchers, and mortar shells hidden in an underground depot. As fighting intensifies, IDF Arabic spokesman Colonel Avichai Adrei renewed evacuation warnings for civilians in southern Lebanon, urging immediate movement north of the Zarani River. The army says Hezbollah's activity is forcing continued strikes, and similar warnings have been repeated for weeks as operations expand across the south. Amid the escalation, U.S. President Donald Trump claimed that Israeli and Lebanese leaders were expected to speak, writing that it had been 34 years since such contact. Lebanese officials, however, told AFP they were unaware of any planned communication through official channels. Earlier this week, Israeli and Lebanese representatives did meet in Washington for a rare U.S.-backed summit, raising speculation about diplomatic openings. In Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened his security cabinet to weigh the possibility of a temporary ceasefire. Channel 12 reported that Washington is floating a one-week truce to create space for broader negotiations involving Lebanon and parallel U.S.-Iran talks. American officials denied formally pressuring Israel, but said the president would welcome an end to hostilities as part of a wider peace framework. Reuters cited Hezbollah and Lebanese government sources, saying ceasefire efforts are underway, potentially tied to the fragile pause in the U.S.-Iran conflict, set to expire on April 22nd. Still, Israeli officials insist no ceasefire is in effect and reiterate their objective to dismantle Hezbollah's military capability. On the ground, the fighting has not paused, even when talks are on cards. During a visit to southern Lebanon, IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir said new battle plans had been approved and described the area up to the Litani River as a killing zone for Hezbollah fighters. Airstrikes around Beirut have eased since April 8th, but operations in the south continue. Diplomacy is whispering, guns are still talking, and along the Israel-Lebanon border, the next move could decide whether this war pauses or explodes wider.
A deadly escalation is now unfolding along the volatile Lebanon-Israel front. Tensions are surging once again as Iran-backed Hezbollah launches a fresh wave of attacks, raising fears of a much wider conflict. This time, the assault comes from above. Hezbollah fighters claim they deployed swarms of drones in coordinated strikes on Israeli military positions. Northern Israel, especially Nahariya, has become the focal point. According to the group, 2 separate attacks were carried out against Israeli soldiers in and around Nahariya. In a statement released on Telegram, Hezbollah says it struck a key logistics base of the Israel Defense Forces 146th Division using a squadron of attack drones, and the strikes didn't stop there. Another drone attack, they claim, targeted a site near the Lehman Barracks, just north of Nahariya. Hezbollah insists these operations are acts of defense, but with each strike, the risk of a wider war grows. Hezbollah launched a wave of coordinated strikes claiming retaliation for what it described as repeated violations by the Israel Defense Forces. On April 16th at 1:10 a.m., the Lyman Barracks north of Nahariya were hit by drone swarms. Minutes later at 1:40 a.m., rockets struck Al-Ajal Hill near Far Yuval. By 2:30 a.m., the Hanida military site also came under a drone attack. The strikes were not limited to Thursday. On April 15th, the 146th Division Command headquarters in Gaatan was targeted, along with a logistics base near Sheikh Danyun. A communications radar in the Golan Heights was also struck with missiles. A day earlier, on April 14th, a direct hit was reported on an Israeli Merkava tank on the outskirts of Bint Jbeil. In a strong warning, the group declared that these operations will continue until what it calls Israeli-American aggression comes to an end. The latest round of conflict between Hezbollah and Israel began on March 2nd after the group entered the war in support of Iran, 2 days after U.S. and Israeli strikes killed Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. On February 28th, since then, Hezbollah has intensified its campaign, launching rockets, drones, and anti-tank missiles into northern Israel, while Israel has responded with expanded airstrikes and a ground offensive inside southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, amid ongoing operations in southern Lebanon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet convened on Wednesday night, reportedly to discuss the possibility of a temporary ceasefire. This comes amid increasing pressure from the United States to reach a ceasefire agreement. As Lebanon remains a key sticking point in broader negotiations between Washington and Tehran aimed at ending the war, a senior Israeli political source told Channel 12, "Our assessment is that within a few days, we will have no choice but to fully cease fire in Lebanon." Sources in Hezbollah and the Lebanese government also told Reuters that efforts to reach a ceasefire are currently underway. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said that a ceasefire in Lebanon is the result of Tehran's insistence on including such a truce as part of a broader agreement with the United States.
All right. So I missed the one that had Mr. Putin come out the airplane. I wanted y'all to see him coming down his plane because he was running down those stairs. You know, our president had to hold on to the rail, right?
Yeah.
President Putin was just hopping down his stairs. I said, "Look at that little man go." He in good shape, y'all.
Yeah. You know, Donald Trump he don't agree with exercising and whatnot. He says he don't do that.
All he does, he just McDonald's getting fat and out of shape and unhealthy. Why in the world does he think my McDonald's is healthy?
That and Diet Cokes.
What you gonna do? Diet Coke is not doing. That's just canceling out. That's not canceling out that bad calories in the McDonald's.
They say he drink them all day long.
Well, we can see the result of it because it has surely affected his cognitive abilities. That's all I can say. Because what you eat affects your brain and the way you think.
Yeah.
Right? And the way you perceive. So his unhealthy eating is really showing, and it has really damaged his cognitive abilities, in my opinion, because everybody is just, I mean, we're not making this up. We just talk about what we see. And the way you talk is what we see. And we can see that you're just not thinking clearly, Donald. You're listening to the wrong people. That's what we've been telling you for the past year. Well, I've been telling you that for the past 3 years. You're listening to the wrong people. You should have broke ties with Netanyahu when he did his genocidal war on Gaza. Because, see, here's the deal. You guys that at the UN, the United States and Israel was the only two states that voted while to not stop the war while Netanyahu was carrying out his genocide. Netanyahu got arrest warrants against him for that. So what the International Court of Justice is working on now is working on getting arrest warrants for the allies. Unfortunately, Donald, you made the United States an ally to a war criminal, and they're coming after you. It might take 2 or 3 years, but you helped supported him. All of the allies, that includes France, Germany, was Canada in it? No, I don't think Canada was in it, but I know France and Germany was in it. Spain wasn't in it. The UK, but the UK got a new prime minister. This is not Prime Minister Brahmer. It's not the prime minister that was in office when what's his name, Netanyahu did his genocide in 23. So, but the old prime minister, I think it was a woman. But they'll be out there. They're going to be out there. Like I say, if y'all study the Nuremberg trials, as how long and how many years it took them to prosecute the genocidal war criminals from the Nazi Germany genocide at the Nuremberg trials, it took some years. And it's going to take some years for them to get everybody that supported the genocide in Gaza. But they're going to get y'all. They're going to get you. You're all going to either die before they get you, or you're going to be old when they get you. But they're going to get you. And that's what the way it works. Yes, justice is slow. That's the only thing about it. Crime is fast, but justice against the crime is always slower,
Mm.
10 times slower than the crime committed itself. And so that's the way you get it. We tell it like TIT is on Paris Politics. Tim, closing remarks.
Great information. Come back and kick it with us tomorrow. We'll be on tomorrow night. But yeah, good information. And y'all be safe out there.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, we will be back tomorrow. It's not just for like a regular uh, talk show podcast where we don't really talk about politics. We try to keep it entertaining and fun. And Sybil, co-host is on the Moses. She will be in the show in the studio rather, in living color. And we'll see y'all then. We love y'all. Good night.
Good night.